The truth has finally leaked on the Houston Rockets' offer to the Phoenix Suns for Kevin Durant, and it's quite frankly shocking. We also have an update from Brian Windhorst, as he has said that a new team has emerged as the favorite to land KD. It's just about if they pull the trigger. Welcome into Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews, and I appreciate you joining us. Gonna do something a little different today. We have almost 2,000 subscribers on the channel, and I'm really grateful. But if you are subscribed, go down to the comment section and comment Real One. I'm going to be liking every single one that says Real One. And if you're not subscribed, well, hit that subscribe button and then go comment Real One so I know you're right here and a part of the Rockets Digest community. Okay, a couple of reports to talk about today. The first one we'll talk about is from Brian Windhorst. Now, Windy has always been a very informed mind in the NBA world, and he speaks a lot of truth as to what is happening, especially in these big name case scenarios. Earlier this offseason, he named Amen Thompson as one of the top up-and-coming superstars, and he's talked about the Rockets being at the helm of the forefront for Kevin Durant. However, he did have a recent podcast and talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves because it seems as though they have reached their way back into the Kevin Durant sweepstakes all of a sudden, so much so that they are literally probably the top favorite. It's just about if they actually pull the trigger or not. Couple things to talk about, though, with this, and that's where we kind of go into the first tweet here regarding this report. This is Brian Windhorst, and again, the Timberwolves, who are internally debating on whether or not to pull the trigger on a Kevin Durant trade, even with him not preferring to be there. This is all per Brian Windhorst, obviously Evan Sidery having the report on Twitter, and this is the quote. "My feel is that if the Timberwolves wanted it, they can probably get a trade for Durant done." Okay, that's a big thing considering the Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that Kevin Durant is not really interested in going. However, there has been talks from the Minnesota Timberwolves organization saying that if it's a one-year rental, we're willing to take that bet. That next year we can go out, we'll have Kevin Durant at least for that year, we'll have first dibs at re-signing him in the offseason next year, and maybe he comes and likes it, and they're still in the vying in the options for KD. And why not? This guy, even if he becomes a one-year rental for the Minnesota Timberwolves, is a big thing. Now, the reason I talk about this and the reason why I bring this up is because for the Houston Rockets, you have to be a little concerned if you don't get Kevin Durant because he is probably going to go to a Western Conference team. Because as of right now, the teams that are in the running are the Spurs, the Rockets, yes, the Timberwolves as well, and the Heat. Of those four teams, only one is in the Eastern Conference. The other two, Spurs and Timberwolves, there's a chance that you will be playing them in the playoffs next season. And I've seen a bunch of comments on it, and I commented back on one of them, but I think the worst case scenario in this point is not that you don't get KD. I don't think KD, if you don't get him, is an end-all be-all. The worst thing would be not improving the team this offseason and Kevin Durant going to a Western Conference team. You didn't improve the team, and then you face KD in the playoffs, whether that's round 1, 2, Western Conference Finals, doesn't matter. That would be horrible reality for Houston Rockets fans, and I know I don't really want it. And that's where, again, I go back to the quote from Wendy here. My feel is that if the Timberwolves wanted it, they could probably get a trade for Durant done, end quote. Now, Brian Windhorst obviously has a lot more vie in what he says because he's been an insider, he's on ESPN, and he talks a lot about basketball. However, from the reports I'm seeing, from the stuff that I am hearing in the Houston Rockets organization, the Rockets could easily make a deal today if they just included Jabari Smith Jr. That's the holdup here for the Houston Rockets. Same thing can be said for the Heat. Same thing could be said for the Spurs in some ways. Probably a little less so for San Antonio. But right now, if a deal wanted to be made by the Timberwolves, the Heat, or the Rockets, it could be done in a matter of 5 minutes. You call up Phoenix and say, hey, I've thought about it. I'm going to include this guy. I'm going to include this. I'm going to include this. And the deal is done like that. But for the Rockets' standpoint, they don't want to get rid of Jabari Smith Jr. They don't want to get rid of Amen Thompson. They don't want to get rid of Fred VanVleet or some of these players that they see as key to the organization going forward. And that's where Jalen Green becomes the topic because he has been in every single mock trade and in every single report for Kevin Durant from the Houston Rockets. But we got a bombshell of a report talking about this today. And that's where we go into the next tweet here, and it's this tweet here talking about Jalen Green. The Suns have zero interest in Jalen Green for a potential Kevin Durant trade with the Rockets. This coming from another Suns insider saying, quote, if Houston wants to include Green in the deal, they will need to find a third team willing to take on his contract. That right there makes me believe that the Houston Rockets just went from plus 300 or so to get Kevin Durant to plus 1,000. They've dropped as a whole because Jalen Green was the integral part of this deal that the Rockets were willing to give up. And at the same time, Jalen Green, who knows about this, I mean, it's hard not to know that you are getting shopped for a superstar, has constantly said, I want to stay in Houston. I want to be a Rocket. I want to figure out my playoff woes and be better next season. And all credit to him, if this trade never goes down, if the Rockets don't trade for Kevin Durant, if Jalen Green is in a Houston Rockets jersey next year, and he goes out, he performs to the level that we've seen for the past 4 years in the regular season, and then in the postseason, he comes out and plays way better than this season, that would be a huge thing. But you can't expect that. That's not something the Rockets can expect to see from him. And it's a big thing. It's a hard thing to kind of come to the realization because Jalen Green is a very good basketball player. In the regular season, he averaged 21 points, 4.6 rebounds. He's a very good player, and he's not even 24 years old yet. But at the same time, we've seen him in the NBA for a bit. We've seen him play to really high highs, but some really low lows. And that's where the problem is for the Rockets, wanting consistency, wanting to have a top scorer that they know night in and night out is going to be scoring 25, 30 points a game. The KDs, the Jokic's, the Gilgeous-Alexanders, the Tatums. Jalen Green is not to that level. And the Rockets fully and wholeheartedly expect him to be there, maybe not by this point, but at least showing signs that he's doing it. But it's not really the average up there. And it's hard because it's recency bias, right? If you look at his regular season, pretty much every game he was popping around 20 points. However, when you go back to the postseason and more recency, it's not that way. It's not that Jalen Green has been doing that. And that's the problem for the Houston Rockets right now, is that Jalen Green hasn't performed recent success. They expect him to be this top-tier scorer, in which he is not. And the Rockets, as great of a defensive team as they are, and you can say all you want, defense wins championships, which I do agree, you need a scorer. You need a guy who's going to go out there and put up 25 points on a nightly occurrence. Kevin Durant will do that. Now, Jalen Green could improve this next season, and that's easy to see. But it seems like nobody has interest in him. And so when you look at the Rockets package right now, even if we're including Jabari Smith Jr., you got Jalen Green, a player that the Suns do not have any interest in, the number 10 pick. And then from there, you have Jabari Smith Jr. That's somebody the Suns want, but are you willing to give that up? Whereas if you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, their trade is circled around Rudy Gobert and Dante DiVincenzo. Now, the draft acquisitions for this trade with the Wolves is really what I think is holding up the trade to Minnesota for a couple different reasons. Obviously, Kevin Durant does not want to go to Minnesota. That is not where he wants to be. But in the same tone, it's been a very obvious part of this trade process that the Phoenix Suns want a pick in this year's draft. They want high draft assets. And the Timberwolves just can't provide to the level that the Houston Rockets or the San Antonio Spurs or even the Miami Heat, Toronto Raptors, who are now being included in talks, are even being able to give them. It's just a different level. And that's where the question comes in for the Suns is, how long are you waiting these out? How long does it become, instead of a, we want to trade him in the next 7 days. We want to trade him in this week too. We want to trade him before the draft too. Oh shoot, it's draft night, but guess we better trade him. Like if I'm the Rockets and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this trade, it's been going on heavily for a week now. We kind of expected a move to be made in some ways, and it hasn't. And so in that aspect, if I'm the Rockets, I'm saying I'm going to hold tight. Jalen Green and the number 10 overall pick. We believe Jalen Green's a good player. It's not to say that we're trading him because we think he's bad. No, we think he's a good player, and they think he's worth Kevin Durant. But also for the Rockets, you have to understand how important Kevin Durant is to your organization. And I can't make that decision for you. The fans can't make that decision for you. Rafael Stone, Ime Udoka, and the organization as a whole has to make that decision on how important is KD. Because if he is a piece that they want and they will have, then they should include Jabari Smith Jr. as much as it would hurt to say. Because at the end of the day, Jabari, who I think is an integral part of the Rockets, if he is the reason that you're taken out of Kevin Durant, I don't know if that's worth it. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about this whole trade thing. I'm honestly to the point where I'm not going to say I'm getting tired of it. Like, I like talking about Kevin Durant, but I'm ready for something more than, oh, this was a report today, or this was a report today, or this was a report today. Like, I want something where it's like, okay, Kevin Durant has 2 teams. These are the 2 teams. They're putting in their offers today. We'll have the report tomorrow on the trade. Like, I'm ready for that rush of, here it is. It is happening, because it was going to be in the next 72 hours, and it was going to be a week. Like, it's just been so interchangeable that I'm just ready for something full to happen. But that does it for me here from H-Town. I do appreciate you joining us, as always. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay informed and updated on your H-Town team. But for now, we say peace out.